Tonight on Cronkite News, how the Trump administration's proposed tariffs could impact your next trip to the grocery store.
Plus, find out what local organizations are doing to combat the rising demand for senior housing.
And ASU men's basketball squared off against BYU last night. Find out how Cougars fans fared in Tempe after an unfortunate incident with some fans in Tucson just a few days ago. Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News. I'm Dawi Gibran-Mariam.
And I'm Aiden Blank. Thanks for stopping by. We begin tonight with the potential impact of the Trump administration's tariffs. A 25% tariffs on goods from Canada and Mexico are set to go into effect early next week.
And late today, the president spoke to reporters from the Oval Office about his tariffs, which he says will stop the flow of drugs into the United States.
I think you're going to see eventually you're going to see drugs stopping because the country should not be allowing those drugs to come into the United States of America, and we're not going to allow it to happen.
The tariffs could impact prices here in the U.S. because Mexico and Canada rank as the country's top agricultural suppliers. And as Cronkite News reporter Denzen Cortez found out, many in the produce industry are bracing for potential price hikes.
$2.50 the most.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's so expensive.
That sticker shock may hit more of us, as tariffs on goods from Mexico and Canada loom on the horizon, with produce being some of the items consumers will see increase quickly.
Yeah, because we get a lot of fruit from Mexico. So. Yeah.
Salim Mati is a small produce vendor and says the majority of food he sells comes from both countries, potentially putting him in a tough spot.
For example, mangoes, strawberries, berries, it's going to be crazy, Now the strawberries, usually we buy it for example, let's say $1. Now we buy it for $3 each.
The tariff breakdown works like this. Normally, consumers can pick up the avocado imported from Mexico for $1.50. But with a tariff on Mexican and Canada goods, the U.S. grocery buying the avocado will now need to pay an additional 25% or close to 40 cents more. They can't afford to just eat that cost, so they'll pass it on to the consumer, raising the price of that avocado to nearly $2. But for even smaller vendors like Mati, the tariff might hit even harder.
I think it's going to be expensive, yeah. Like, maybe $3 or something like that. So it's a lot of money.
And the impacts of the tariffs travel, in this case, to a family-owned business in the Bronx, where you gotta move fast when new produce arrives. Katzman Produce is a wholesale distribution center. The pallets stacked up to the ceiling are filled with the roughly 450,000 pounds of produce they distribute weekly.
Our business is over 100 years old. I'm fourth generation. I have my siblings in it with me now. My father's still here in the market.
Stephanie Katzman, great-great-granddaughter and CEO of Katzman Produce, have been one of New York's largest and longest distributors, partnering with 55 countries internationally. But she says the potential tariff could play a domino effect for their family business and the industry as a whole.
How could something like that impact not only the produce industry, but Katzman, that's been around for hundreds of years, generations? How could that impact you guys?
Yeah, so we were, happy to hear that it was paused and there's some more negotiations going on. We have tariffs hit from product out of Mexico, Canada, China, and any other countries in the future where we import products, but we're going to see an increase in cost, and that increase in cost is going to be spread down the supply chain, and consumers are really going to be the ones who feel it when they go shopping.
Those trickle-down costs not only affect distributors, but potential small vendors like Mati. These small pallets right here, vendors that buy in smaller quantities affected by the price hike, meaning that distributors and smaller vendors might have to cut back on their quantity to save some money.
And the price is high, so usually, we buy the stuff cheap, that's why we sell it cheap. And the people, they say, oh, before is $1, $2, $3. It's difficult.
With days left until the pause is set to expire, whether at the distribution center down to the consumer, the cost of fresh produce may be about to change for everyone, leaving many to peel back on purchases or swallow the higher prices. In New York, Denzen Cortez, Cronkite News.
The tariffs on both countries are still on time to take effect on March 4th, with the reciprocal tariffs pushed back to April 2nd.
The Pentagon says it will begin removing transgender members of the military, according to a new release memo sent to Defense Department leaders. Service members who have a history of or exhibit symptoms of what the Pentagon calls gender dysphoria will be processed for separation from military service by March 26th. In 2018, an independent research institute estimated there were around 14,000 transgender individuals serving in our military. The order expands on an executive order signed by President Trump earlier this year.
The latest cuts from the Department of Government Efficiency has led to the firing of several therapists working for the Department of Veterans Affairs in Arizona. The move has drawn criticism from people like Arizona Attorney General Chris Mays. Mays says that the cuts are, quote, outrageous. The terminations in Arizona from Elon Musk and Donald Trump's new government department are part of a larger set of firings nationwide. 1,400 VA employees have been let go across the nation so far.
As the senior population in Arizona continues to grow, so does the demand for senior housing. Cronkite News reporter Leslie Chapman tells us how local organizations are helping this population find a place to call home.
It's a battle. Being 58 right now, there's really not too much out there to help you.
Achi Winnie, a member of the Justice Center, is searching for a stable job and a roof over his head. But multiple injuries and owning 3 dogs has made getting help a challenge.
I can't even go to the services, any of the services in there because of my dogs. I can't even get to the gate.
Winnie says that the Justice Center has been a haven for him and his dogs, helping him get back on his feet. State legislation and other local organizations are trying to tackle the affordable housing crisis for seniors. According to a 2024 Arizona State of Housing report, the population aged 65 and older is growing 2.4 times faster than the general population, and housing supply is not keeping up with demand.
Many seniors who may have been renting homes, their rents are going up, their HOA fees are going up, and because they're living on a really limited amount of income, they're not able to make that up anywhere. And so what we're finding is seniors for the very first time are becoming homeless.
That's tough because a lot of the things that are often kind of the solutions to homelessness, increasing wages or maybe finding a higher paying job or another second job or whatever it might be, just aren't as easy for folks in that senior age bracket to take on.
There are efforts to expand the state low-income housing tax credit, known as LIHTC. The state currently allocates $4 million per year toward this tax credit, but House Bill 2660 aims to increase that amount through 2030.
A lot of times these affordable deals do not get done without the additionality of something like LIHTC.
Village on Roser, a LIHTC property in South Phoenix, owned by the Foundation of Senior Living, has helped many seniors find affordable housing. But 600 people are still waiting.
Our waiting lists are usually 2 to 3 years, depending on the property, and residents or potential residents can only apply to one at a time, just because, of course, we want to make sure that we get through that waiting list as equitable as possible.
Resident Joyce Ann Perkins says she lived with her daughters while she was on the waiting list and felt depressed because she didn't think she would be able to afford rent in Arizona.
When I got it in a year and a half and to find out that it was just rent, didn't have to pay utilities, and oh Lord, that was a blessing.
A blessing many seniors are still in search of. In Phoenix, Leslie Chapman, Cronkite News.
Perkins says she pays just over $550 a month for rent. The Foundation for Senior Living uses private philanthropy to fill the gap and maintain low rent prices for residents.
Coming up, Arizona's multi-million-dollar tax incentive program for film and TV productions could be gone soon.
The program is meant to encourage movie studios to shoot right in our own backyard, but a new lawsuit might mean a major drop in TV production in the near future. That's next on Cronkite News.
And I'm Ariel Nelson at the Cronkite Weather Center. We have a cool down coming our way this weekend, and we'll have that full forecast for you after the break.
Taking a look at consumer news, unemployment claims increased by a staggering 22,000 compared to last week's 242,000. These numbers are higher than what economists predicted, and experts say the spike in unemployment claims can be partly attributed to the layoffs within the federal government.
For decades, Arizona's iconic landscapes could be seen in movie theaters around the world. Films like Psycho and National Lampoon's Vacation expose audiences to the legendary desert landscapes of Arizona. But a new lawsuit targeting Arizona's film tax incentive program could spell major change for the state's film and TV industry.
Here in Hollywood, hundreds of film and TV productions are shot every single year, thanks in no small part to California's $330 million film and TV tax incentive program. Arizona's similar program has $125 million available per year in an attempt to bring productions into the desert Southwest. But some Arizona taxpayers say that the incentives will only harm Arizona's economy. Arizona had an incentive program for film production until it was shelved in 2008. But in 2023, tax credits rolled again with higher incentives. Recently, the Goldwater Institute, a public policy think tank, filed a lawsuit against the Arizona Commerce Authority, claiming the program violates the Arizona Constitution's gift clause.
As the government can buy things, it can contract for things, but it can't subsidize private business and it can't hand out tax dollars without getting direct benefits in return for the taxpayer. And that's what's happening here.
In their lawsuit, the Institute cited a study from the Center of Budget and Policy Priorities published in 2010, which concluded that some residents benefit from these subsidies, but most end up paying for them in the form of fewer services, such as education, healthcare, and police and fire protection, or higher taxes elsewhere. However, the states seem to disagree on the impacts of the incentives. Arizona's neighboring state, New Mexico, claims that for every dollar invested, the economy has benefited $8.40. The New Mexico Economic Development Department also claims that the tax credit brought in almost $1 billion in economic output annually between 2020 and 2024. Wade Stevens, CFO for Film This, an LA-based film permitting business, spoke more on why tax subsidies are able to attract productions.
They're running a business and they're trying to do things within their financial parameters, and it's not just the perception that production has bottomless pockets is just not true.
Arizona has seen a massive increase in productions in the state since 2023, but a successful lawsuit could mean a major drop in production across the state, just like the drop in production seen after 2008. In Los Angeles, Spencer West, Cronkite News.
After filing the complaint to the Maricopa County Superior Court, the Goldwater Institute will now move for a preliminary injunction, which could temporarily halt the incentive program.
The space technology company Blue Origin has announced the crew for its next human flight to space, and the ship is packing quite a cast. The company, owned by Jeff Bezos, announced in a press release that an all-female crew, including Gayle King, Katy Perry, and others, will be making the 31st human flight to space by Blue Origin this spring. Bringing the news back down to Earth for a moment, the temperature's also supposed to come back into orbit this next week.
Yeah, that's right. Ariel Nelson joins us now from the Cronkite Weather Center with what we can expect.
That's right. We're going to be seeing some cooler temperatures starting next week, but let's pay attention tonight and for the rest of the weekend. We're going to start around 77 degrees about right now and eventually make our way down to 70 degrees tonight at 10 o'clock p.m. Let's take a look at those lower temperatures across Arizona. First, let's look at Page real quick. 37 degrees up in northern Arizona, 50 degrees down in Tucson, and 55 degrees in Phoenix. So definitely bring a little jacket with you when you're leaving for work tomorrow morning. Let's look at those warmer temperatures across the state. We've got some high temperatures, especially in the southwestern area of Arizona, like Bullhead City with a high of 82 degrees, Lake Havasu City with a high of 86, and Phoenix with a high of 82 degrees. let's look at that 8-day forecast. Like I said, Phoenix is looking at an 82-degree high for Friday, which is actually 10 degrees or about 10 degrees above average for this time of year. We're going to dip down into the high 70s by Sunday and eventually on Monday make our way to the high 60s, which is pretty cool. We're going to warm up by halfway through next week with a high of 76 degrees on Wednesday. And Thursday and Friday, we're going to climb back up to the mid-70s. With the Cronkite Weather Center, I'm Ariel Nelson.
Thanks, Ariel. Coming up next, the Cronkite Sports Report.
Yeah, the Suns are looking to win tonight as they coast the Pelicans.
Yeah.
Plus, we'll meet the ASU track star that's nearly 7 feet tall and is being scouted for his potential on the football field.
People have always had trouble trying to put me into a box. A professor, suit and tie is just not me. Without the ocean, I don't know what I would do. You know, the ocean's always been there for me. As Hawaiian people, we believe that the coral is the first living being to come out of the darkness. It's the foundation of our entire lifestyle, and that's what my research is about. What we do is we take photographs of the reef over long periods of time to create models that can tell us what the planet is doing. If we go deaf to what the Earth is telling us, then we'll never be able to live in harmony. If I can get my students excited about protecting the ocean, then they're the ones who are gonna really make the difference. I hope my students realize that I'm not trying to prepare them for something in the distant future. Their time is now at Arizona State University.
Welcome to the Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Paisley Poole. We start with a beaten and battered ASU men's basketball team who hosted 25th ranked BYU last night. Bobby Hurley's squad was looking for their first home win since January 4th. But with a depleted roster due to injury and illness, ASU was just trying to stay in this one. And it didn't help that Adam Miller got pulled after he got injured midway through the game, which gave opportunity for young players like Amir Ali and Trevor Best to show what they could do. But ASU ran into foul trouble and couldn't stop BYU's hot hand as the Cougars made 17 three-pointers in this one, resulting in a 91-81 loss. Max Williams joins us now. Max, you were at the game. So many storylines there. What more do you have for us?
Yeah, that's right, Paisley. BYU was fresh off of a victory in Tucson where Arizona fans yelled anti-Mormon chants. The university apologized for their fan behavior, and I had the chance to talk to some BYU fans before last night's game in Tempe while the incident was still on their minds.
I'm a little disappointed that somebody in our own conference would react that way.
Here at ASU and U of A, because I have degrees from both of them, so we love them too, and half my family went here, but I kind of said, I don't think I want my grandkids coming here when the students were that rude.
BYU got a much better reception at Desert Financial Arena last night. A lot of Cougar fans in the Valley, and head coach Kevin Young was impressed with the respectful atmosphere. Still, some chippy moments on the court as there were multiple technical fouls and a flagrant one charged to ASU in this losing effort. The Sun Devils press conference was somber following the team's 8th consecutive home loss.
I hope I wake up tomorrow. I think I hope I will, but I'm scared to see what tomorrow brings.
It really is depressing, honestly. That topic and not taking care of home court because, man, like, you know, you want to give the fans a reason to come here every day. And,
Well, Paisley, after yet another loss at home for the Sun Devils, they have just one home game remaining in their inaugural Big 12 season against Texas Tech in Tempe on March 8th.
All right, Max. Well, we thank you so much for being here. Meanwhile, Arizona continues to rack up the wins, getting another victory last night. The Wildcats put the hurt on Utah last night. Arizona's Caleb Love was the star of the night, scoring 23 points and shooting 6 for 12 on three-point attempts. Overall, it was a strong offensive outing for the Wildcats, with 4 starters scoring double-digit points on the night. The win helped maintain Arizona's spot in second place in the conference, heading into the final 3 games of the season. Coming up this weekend, the Wildcats head to number 9, Iowa State. The Suns are back in action tonight after a tough overtime loss to Memphis on Tuesday as they host the Pelicans for the first game of a back-to-back homestand. The playoff race is heating up and time is running out for the Suns to turn things around. Currently, the Suns are 11th in the Western Conference standings and have lost 9 of their last 11 games. With just 24 games left in the regular season, they are currently on the outside looking in at the playoff picture. The team acknowledges the challenges ahead, but remain hopeful about their ability to rally and secure a playoff spot.
It's been definitely a tough season, but it's still like enough time for us to change it around and get in a position where we want to. But all we got to do is just lock in one game at a time and we'll be good.
The Cardinals were ranked dead last in the NFL Players Association's annual report cards for the 2025 season. The report cards are annually done by the players from each of the 32 NFL franchises to help raise club standards across the NFL. Looking at the Cardinals' grades, it's clear players from the team are seeking improvements to their training facility and locker rooms. The Cardinals announced yesterday that plans are already underway to invest in a new $100 million training facility at the existing location in Tempe. The announcement came quickly after the report cards came in. Perhaps the failing grade forced their hand. The facility has a targeted construction date for 2027 with hopes to change the narrative surrounding the franchise's facilities going forward. Dual sport athletes are hard to come by, especially at the collegiate level. But ASU has one who stands above the rest, and it's not just because he's 6'10". I had a chance to talk to this track and field star who is also giving another sport a try. Senior shot putter Brandon Lloyd is known for his throwing skills. Last year, the junior college transfer from Kansas recorded a personal best of 19.62 meters. He also made the podium at the Pac-12 championship for both the discus and shot put, qualified for NCAA championships, and finished 3rd at the Jamaican National Championships for the shot put. But he's not stopping there.
Hopefully, I'll make the World Championships for shot put. Through 21 meters, which I know I can do it, and I will do it, but it just takes time and focus, and the drive and the willpower.
Brandon Lloyd is a track and field athlete, but in his junior year, he discovered another field. That is the Arizona State football field.
Coming to America, I started watching the Philadelphia Eagles, right? And I was like, this sports look cool. It's kind of rough, but it looks cool.
But that's really cool. It's inspiring, for him to manage football, track, and school. But yeah, he's a great guy, great teammates.
At 6'10", Lloyd's physicality caught the eye of head football coach Kenny Dillingham on campus, and he invited him to join the team's practice squad. Playing football has helped his growth and maturity as an all-around athlete.
But he's been definitely a better athlete, a little more conditioned when he came back from football, and he's actually asked for more conditioning, so he's asking for a little bit more work this year.
Now that he plays 2 sports, Lloyd has 2 goals in mind.
I made a world championship and also play football back again for another year, and hopefully I can get on a pro team.
And at ASU, the senior is getting the opportunity to pursue both. Lloyd is definitely one to keep an eye on, and that's it for tonight's Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Paisley Poole, and we'll be right back after a quick break.
As a teacher, you just want to reach people. You want to make a difference. You want to help them. I have an opportunity to do something I never imagined I would be able to do. Go out and build the best biology class the world has ever seen. When you go into Dreamscape Learn, you put on a set of goggles and you can go anywhere. You can be anyone and do anything. The thing about Arizona State University is they're always thinking about what's next. We can create virtual reality experiences so that you can learn by exploring in a virtual world the way that scientists explore in the real world. And kids can feel that. All these emotions are what help the brain encode information. When I see a student come out of VR, the look on their face is nothing like I've ever seen when I finish a lecture. They look so happy to be there in that moment. You know that you've reached them.
To see top Arizona stories anytime, log on to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
That's it for tonight's edition of Cronkite News. I'm Dowie Gibber-Merriam.
And I'm Aiden Blank. Thanks for joining us.